going on, everybody? It's Aurora coming at you with a brand new video, and so tonight we actually got a bunch of new Kshatri-La cards, which kind of came out of the blue. I mean, given it was kind of obvious it was going to get support because it is a Visas lore archetype and it barely had anything to begin with. But I'm actually really excited for this because according to Dark Tome YGO over on Twitter, apparently this is like tier 0 worthy support. And I know they're getting 10 new cards. I know they're getting like 3 new main deck monsters and new Xyz. All I know is that the Xyz has a macro on it. That kind of got spoiled for me a bit. And then they're getting a bunch of new back row. And honestly, I'm kind of excited. This archetype had so much potential when we first looked at it. It was just very unfinished, it looked like. And considering they're getting more monsters, which is exactly what I thought they needed, I think we can do some really good stuff with this archetype if it is as broken as Dark Tome is telling me it is. So let's go ahead and start looking at it. It says, are you ready to face the darkness within of the temptations crying for your soul? Okay, I'm 13 and this is deep. So first off, we have Kshatri-La Rise Heart. This is their heart card that all of the Visas lore archetypes seem to be getting. This is a level 4 Fire Warrior with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. It says you can only use this card's name 1 and 2 effects once per... Okay, so you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. I don't know why it was worded that weird. But if you control a Kshatri-La monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters or special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Xyz monsters. Free body. During your main phase, if this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can banish 1 Kshatri-La card from your deck except Kshatri-La Rise Heart. Banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, and if you do, this card's level becomes 7. Wow, okay. Also, take a shot, like, go through all of my review videos and take a shot every time I say wow, okay on something. But this card's actually kind of crazy looking, so this is just a free special. I mean, you're only going to be making Xyz monsters most of the time anyway, now with the new support. I was going for, like, some link stuff with Punk at first, but you can actually fill the gaps in the deck now. But this seems kind of crazy. Like, literally, not only are you banishing something, which can get them, you can get it back later with their support cards, but you're triggering other things, like the Xyz monster, like the first one they got, and also you're changing its level to 7, making it easy to Xyz summon into, like, the new guy, and then banish the top 3 of your opponent's deck face down is really strong, because most decks, aside from, like, Virtual World, can even get their stuff back if it's banished face down, so very strong start already. Next up we have Scareclaw Kshatri-La. Okay, a bit of an odd combination here. I mean, lore-wise they are connected, but kind of out of the blue. It is a level 7 Earth Psychic monster with 0 attack and 2600 defense. It says you can only use its first effect once per turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, banish a Kshatri-La or a Scareclaw card from your hand or graveyard. Can attack while in face-up defense position, and if it does, apply its defense's attack during damage calculation. Negate the effects of any opponent's monster that battles a Kshatri-La or Scareclaw monster you control until the end of the turn. I mean, on one hand, it's pretty good swarming because you're going to be triggering all of this stuff. Well, I don't think anything does anything when it's banished, does it? I don't remember, but I know some stuff does trigger if something else is banished. But I think so far, this is probably one of the weaker cards you could be playing in the archetype unless it has some super synergy with some of this other back row they're getting. For their final monster, we have Tier Limit Kshatri-La. Again, another combination. It is a level 7 Water Psychic with 2300 attack and 1200 defense. You can only use each of its effects once per turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, banish a Kshatri-La or Tier Limit card from your hand or graveyard. On summon, you can send the top 3 cards of either deck to the graveyard, and if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. So, I'm going to look at this from a tier and a Kshatri-La perspective. For tier, I think this is kind of baller. I mean, for the back row stuff that you mill, you're not really going to be recycling it too much. You can just banish the back row pieces like Soliak that you're milling. And then on summon, milling 3 of either deck can trigger things for your deck. And if it's sent to the grave by card effect, you can mill 2 more. That can further your tier limit plays right there. For Kshatri-La, I mean, again, it is another level 7 extender. And I think overall it has a bit more, like, utility than Scareclaw Kshatri-La does, because this feels like it wants to stay on the board when you'd rather just go into Xyz plays. So yeah, I definitely like the Tier Limit Kshatri-La a little more than the Scareclaw Kshatri-La. But for the final monster, we have a brand new boss monster for the archetype. This is Kshatri-La Rise Heart. So maybe this is like the peak of the Visas lore. Maybe we're not actually getting too much more. But this is a rank 7 Dark Machine Xyz with 3000 attack and defense. It requires 3 level 7 monsters. It says you can also Xyz summon it once per turn during the effects of a Kshatri-La. Shangri-La is activated. Using a Kshatri-La monster controls material, so you can technically use 1 card for it. That's really good. And it says cards sent to the graveyard are banished instead. Kind of insane already. Once per turn, each time a banished card activates its effect, attach 1 banished card to this card as material. And once per turn, quick effect, you can detach 3 materials from this card, then target 1 card on the field and banish that card face down. Wow, this is a lot on one boss monster right here. So to start off, really easy summoning condition. You're really gonna go into Shangri-La like a lot. Like all you really have to do is go into Shangri-La, banish 1 thing off of anything, trigger the Shangri-La to block off a zone, and you can special like your Rise Heart and then just go into this. It's a macro on legs, which kind of just murders every deck right now because cards from like any card from anywhere at any time, they're all just banished, which is really stupid good for an easy to summon boss monster like this. It says once per chain for this. Once per chain. So even the decks that are benefiting from getting their stuff banished, you can literally just steal something. Including, I'm pretty sure, wait, do the Kshatri-La cards trigger when they're banished? Like the back row? Maybe some of the new back row does, because none of their current stuff triggers when it's banished. But like that can steal your opponent's stuff while your stuff is already plussing you. And then finally, you just get a quick free target card on the field to banish face down. Granted, you do have to detach 3 materials, but I think it's a really strong effect nonetheless. Overall, incredibly good boss monster here. All right, going on to their back row, we're starting off with Kshatri-La Overwrap. Maybe it's supposed to be Overlap. I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's a quick play spell that says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. You can target a monster on the field, banish a monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense from your hand, graveyard, or the field. Then target monster gains 1500 attack. Okay, so the translations of this are kind of like scuffed. Maybe they're trying to rush it out. And then if this card is banished and you control a Kshatri-La, okay, there we go. There's the stuff that triggers if it's banished. You can target an effect monster your opponent controls, negate that monster's effects until the end of the turn. So basically, for removing one of your heart monsters, you get a small attack boost. Well, it's not small, I should say it's a very large attack boost, but that's just kind of okay. This seems really good. I like the Imperm, but I think overall you just had more stuff that can do that anyway, or just do it better. So not too big of a fan here. Next up we have the 6th World, the 6th Heaven of Desire. Also known as Kshatri-La Papayas. It is a normal spell that says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. You can target 1 Kshatri-La monster you control, especially Kshatri-La with a different attribute from your deck in defense position, but you're locked into Xyz from the extra deck the rest of the turn. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished Kshatri-La cards, except Kshatri-La Papayas, add that card to the hand. Ooh, that is so strong. Wow. Okay, so keep in mind that this isn't like the quick launch that Tier Limit got where it sends the monster that you targeted. This just gives you 2 free monsters, or it gives you a free monster on top of the monster you already had. Keep in mind that monster's effects aren't negated, so you can summon like your Fenrir, Ogre, or Unicorn, trigger its effect after using the effect of the first one, get all the resources you need like your spells and your traps, and then get your free Shangri-La or get your free Rise Heart. And then if it's banished, which includes from all of your current effects such as your Rise Heart, then you can target any of your banished Kshatri-La cards, including your back row, except another copy of itself, and just add it to your hand for later use, such as their continuous spell and continuous trap that they got in the first place. This is definitely a 3 of for sure. Next up, we have their field spell. It is Prime Planet Psoriasis. Maybe like Plax Psoriasis, I don't know. Field spell, you can only activate one of its name per turn. You can only use its 3rd effect once per turn. On activation, you can add a Kshatri-La monster from your deck to your hand. Really good there. They needed the consistency boost. Monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each different attribute among monsters on the field. And if Kshatri-La Shangri-La you control activates this effect, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So it seems like a very bloated field spell. It has the Light Stage-esque search effect, which I mean, all of the other planet field spells have done that so far. And then really good attack gain. You know, there's a lot of different attribute decks right now. Sword Soul and Sprite even use multiple attributes, things like that. And that includes on your field as well. So you can have like 300 boost solid anywhere as well. And then for the low price of Shangri-La just activating its effect, which keep in mind isn't a once per turn. This is a once per turn, but like keep in mind Shangri-La itself is really easy to activate. You're getting free popping as well. So yeah, very bloated field spell, very good. Helps with the consistency that the deck desperately needed. For the final spell, we have Scareclaw Defang. It is a continuous spell that says you can only use its 3rd effect once per turn. Also, he's fucking dying. I think this is also just some Scareclaw and maybe some tier support as well. I don't think all of these are for Kshatri-La, but we're gonna read this anyway like we did the last time. It says you can, like, okay, so never mind, I already read that. So it says Scareclaw Link monsters and Visa Starfrost you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Monsters destroyed in battle by your Scareclaw Link monsters and your Visa Starfrost are banished instead of being sent to the grave. And you can banish a Scareclaw Link from your field or graveyard, then target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So this is definitely really good for like pure Scareclaw, but I don't think it's very good for the Tri-Brigade variant, which arguably is stronger until maybe when the new support comes out in Darkwing Blast, where it gets that like really broken trap card. The protection is fine, but I mean, you can only really search this off of like Rykart if I recall correctly, and then this is just kind of mediocre, but not too bad of a card. So onto their trap cards. I got two different trap cards here. We start off with the normal trap, Kshatri-La. It says you can only use one of its effects per turn only once that turn. It says target a Visa Starfrost you control and an effect monster your opponent controls, negate that opponent's monster's effects, and if you do this, your monster gains attack equal to half of that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher, and you can banish it from your graveyard to add a spell or trap card from your deck that mentions Visa Starfrost except Kshatri-La. So considering that this in itself I don't think is searchable, I don't know how many uses this has in any of the Visas lore decks. I think Scareclaw is the only one that plays it anyway. So while it does seem like a really good effect, I mean, this literally adds anything. I don't know if it's going to see too much play outside of maybe niche Scareclaw variants. And then finally, we have Kshatri-La Big Bang. It is a normal trap that says you can only use each effect of its name once per turn. It says if there is a Kshatri-La Xyz monster on the field, make both players banish monsters face down so they can only control one monster. Oh my god. And if this card is banished, you can target a Kshatri-La Xyz you control, add a Kshatri-La monster attached to it as material to your hand, then you can special summon that monster from your hand. And also down here you can see that it was a big effort for translating, so that is why it's a little bit scuffed, because their PSCET experts being unavailable at the time of the writing. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, but back to the really broken trap card. Okay, this is just what everyone hates about Kairyu-Shin Leviathan on a trap card that's searchable, that also benefits you, keep in mind. Like, this is literally evenly matched mixed with Kairyu-Shin, and if it's banished, being able to just take your material, add it to your hand, and then get a free body on board, that's kind of insane. Not gonna lie, I'm seeing a huge increase in everything that the archetype needed in this support. But yeah, so with that out of the way, that is the last bit of support here for the Kshatri-La archetype, at least for this set, and it might be the end of the Visa Starfrost lore already. I mean, it already looks like everything's tied together immediately. I didn't think it was gonna be as big as the Albaz lore anyway, or the World Legacy lore, but this did go on for a few sets. I don't know if it's going to go on much after this. I think the Kshatri-La are just meant to be the big bads. You might get like one more wave in the next core set or something. But yeah, do I think that this is going to make the archetype tier 0? I don't know, maybe. Like, some of this stuff is kind of insane. So, not so much the Scareclaw Kshatri-La, and the tier limit Kshatri-La is cute, but it's not like too great. But the Scareclaw of like Riseheart, or I'm sorry, Kshatri-La Riseheart, this card is kind of insane. It's just such a plus. The Xyz monster is utterly ridiculous. It's a walking macrocosmos with a once per chain attach banish things to it as material that also gets a like soft once per turn like detach 3 to target a card and banish it face down from the field. While it isn't the best, it does have an imperm if it's banished. It has a really good quick launch that lets you get access to so many different things from your deck that can also add back your banished resources. It's got a really strong power field spell like the tier limit one and the Scareclaw one, and of course literal like evenly goes and match on steroids. Yeah, I think this definitely solves a lot of the issues that the deck had with like consistency and in like terms of overall power aside from the locking aspect. I thought it was already a really cool like field control, it's like control looking deck, but now I can see that it's definitely just a really big like turbo out a bunch of Kshatri-La monsters, block out all the zones while also controlling the banished resources. I think both of those statuses being combined is going to make this deck an absolute menace. I don't remember the exact label that I gave it in the actual initial video where I reviewed the first 6 Kshatri-La cards, but I think I'm gonna have to give it, after this support, an overall 9 out of 10. Like, ignoring the 2 Scareclaw cards, like, these are just absurdly strong. Combined with the already pretty good effects we had on the original cards, I think that this is going to be a deck to be reckoned with, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let me know yours down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please sure to leave a like, as I'll split this video and the channel into YouTube recommended. And if you like this content and you want to see more like it, like the rest of my review series, I try to review every new archetype that comes out, as well as every archetypal support wave with 4 or more cards, then perhaps consider subscribing, because we're on our way to 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2022, and it supports the channel more than anything else, plus it's absolutely free. But once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.